Stories once spun, is the magic undone? Symbols carved long ago, deep in stone. I walk dirt paths to make these mysteries known. Messages in stone from ages ago stood the test of time that we might know. We are seekers after all. We are seekers after all.
Welcome.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
Love it when the technology works, right?
I
Always
know.
cross my fingers.
Me too, because one time it didn't. Yeah.
Yeah,
More than one time it has for me. Yeah.
Yeah. I just want to welcome you. I want to just show you Carolyn's working the board for us. Say hi, Carolyn.
Hi. Hello.
Nice to see you.
And I want to introduce you, of course, to Rick Hunt, who co-hosts as well.
Thank you.
All right.
Yes, Deborah.
Yeah. Well, we enjoyed playing your music, and congratulations on Jefford's Secret, the film. Wow. That's so cool, the music video.
That was just so meaningful. I was just so surprised and honored, and we won 2 awards for myself and also for my director, Michael Foster. So that was, it's such an important story. So I'm glad that
it's a great story.
Recognition. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Now, tell us how did you learn about the story? How did it come to you?
Well, I used to teach Apache history. I was a professor at West Virginia University, and some of my teaching was in Native American studies, and I did a lot of my field research in Arizona and New Mexico. So I got to know these states really well, and the story of Cochise and Jeffords and that part of Southeast Arizona is just incredible. It's an incredible history. And so, what I've done with that song and other songs of mine is that some of these were classroom lectures, so it's sort of like you're taking an hour lecture and boiling it down into a 3 or 4 minute song, so you kind of have to get to whatever is the essence, of the story, and then put it, of course, in the rhyme scheme and the music of a song. So that I love that challenge. Yeah.
Yeah. You do it so well. And would you call your music like Western style, or how would you describe your music?
Yeah, I think this current album and the one before, really falls into the folk genre too. And I've been getting, some attention from those DJs, but it also is kind of Western roots, you might call it, because I write about the West, and the stories and the people and places of the West. So I guess it would cross, sort of the Western roots, folk, maybe some Americana, some have called it. So it crosses genres. Sometimes you get a little bit of a country twang in some songs too.
Wow. Well, in fact, you are a storyteller.
Thank you. That's a good way to phrase it. There's story. Most of the songs I write are stories of other people or events. I mean, I do have some, autobiographical material that finds its way in there, of what inspires me, like the song Seekers and Mile After Mile on the album. They really came from inspirations of traveling around, Indian country and looking at some of the ancient, petroglyph and pictograph sites and just being inspired by places. And so what's captured my imagination along the way is probably a good way to say it. Yeah.
So do you write the lyrics first and then kind of pick up your guitar to accompany?
usually I'll start with some lyrics, but I try to get music involved as soon as I can because that sort of determines, how I'm going to arrange my lyrics, to fit the music and get a rhyme scheme going. And, so I get music involved pretty as soon as I can, so it's usually is lyrics first though.
Mm-hmm.
Or an idea, a concept, and then I start just writing down ideas. It's like putting a puzzle together. I think songwriting is, because you're trying to, you got to conform to your meter. You have to conform to your rhyme scheme, but so you got to get creative and find the right words to make it all work.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm assuming that the Apache people feel honored by your work.
Yes, I've had good feedback from friends. A lot of my connections are in the San Carlos Apache Reservation, which is just north of where I live here in Tucson, and I've spent a lot of time up there over the years, and still go up and keep in contact with friends. And in fact, one of my songs that's on that album, Roger Dale, is about the son of some good friends of mine from that reservation. He was well known in team roping. So it's sort of like, it's kind of an Indian cowboy Indian, it's that sort of a theme.
Yeah. We also played Medicine Bottle and Modu Cup, which is really cool because you start out with a chant, and could you tell us about that song a little bit?
Yeah, a friend of mine, Sheila James, is of Modoc. She belongs to the Modoc tribe of Oklahoma. She lives in California now, and we have been members of the Western Writers of America, and that's where we met. And she writes books about the Modoc people. So, we started working on this song together, and she and a group of Modoc singers recorded their traditional song, and which is really about a coming together song. And then I started writing lyrics for the English part, which tells the story of the Modoc Wars. And I like it because it sort of ends on a note of resilience and strength. That these were bad times, but these people came out stronger. They adapted, they adjusted, and they're thriving. And so I brought these two songs to my engineer and said, we've got a song in Modoc language, we got a song in English, and we need to make this one song somehow. And Seth Maynard is his name. He's actually has a studio in West Virginia, and he really married these two songs together. So we were just so pleased with the outcome.
Yeah. I love how you get the sense of wind.
Yeah.
It's really beautiful. Yeah. Good for you. It's very arty what you're doing. And, I'm sure Rick can relate to that as he's a visual artist. So it's kind of fun to hear how you work and piece things together.
And Medicine Bottle, you mentioned that has an interesting history too. When I was writing that song about, it was inspired by actually a very sad, photo of Medicine Bottle that was taken of him in 1865, right before he was hung in Minnesota for his role in the U.S. Dakota War. And in writing that song, I contacted the Lower Sioux Band to talk with someone there who knows that history and is of that tribe. And they connected me with Sheldon Wolfchild, who actually is a filmmaker, an actor, director, and he was in the process of making a series of films, documentaries about the Modoc, the Dakota people. Dakota are the eastern branch of the Sioux Nation. And so, it was just, that really opened a journey too. And he ended up putting that song in one of those films.
Wow,
that was just, I'm glad he thought enough of the song to do that, and that it really, I tried to tell the story honestly, and we did do a music video of that one too. that is
Oh,
shows
great.
historical photos, and that's on YouTube. People can watch that.
Wow.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that how you see the future of your work, uh, Carol? Like moving into movies and videos?
I want to do more videos. Yes, I really, I've been involved in another song, Miner's Candle, which doesn't have a native theme, but it's about a silver miner in the Old West. That was released on my previous album, and that was made into a short film and won numerous awards internationally, and with filmmaker Manuela Schneider, who is a good friend, and we were both actually in the film. I play a saloon singer in the Old West, so you kind of you start getting into films, and the bug kind of grows. It's like, wow, this is a great way to tell stories, and I'm thinking about maybe even the next music video, making again into and more longer than a video, but a short film. Even with Jefford's Secret, you can see that we put a narrative in there. It's not just all the song. And that was my director said, would you just, I think this song could use some introduction and explanation. And so I added that narrative.
That made it really good. I appreciated that when I watched it. Yeah. Oh, exciting.
May I ask, do you spend time writing poetry or drawing or
it's interesting. I guess I think in a way think of the song as poetry, and
yes.
When I'll just say that a new book was just published by the Cochise County Chorale of Westerners, and they asked me to contribute poetry, but they wanted 3 specific songs that I had written. And so I shaped them a little bit so they would be conducive, to a book of poetry and short stories. And that actually just came out this past month. Yeah, those works. So that, but yeah, I have thought about poetry, just, it is, it is of course, overlaps very much with songwriting, but it's a different delivery too. You're not singing, you're using another kind of dramatic expression to tell those stories.
Right. Wow.
Well, congratulations on the nomination with the Native American Music Awards as well. That's pretty exciting.
Yes, thank you so much. And I'm, we're kind of waiting to hear how that's gonna, it's still in process, but just to have my songs out there and being listened to and nominated, that's very meaningful.
Sure.
I really appreciate that. And they are very, this year I actually, I'm a member of the advisory board. And so I was one of the judges across genres. I mean, I listened to hundreds of songs of that rock, pop, country, hip hop. I mean, traditional, you name it. And it was there's such amazing talent. It's just, oh, wow. I listened to some great music. I really enjoyed that experience.
Yeah, it is quite exciting. Just going to their website, NativeAmericanMusicAwards.com, and right up front are all the songs, and you can listen to each one. So it's really wonderful. And eventually, I think the public can vote.
Yes, that's going to be the next step. They'll take what the advisory board has, their votes. And that will be then the finalists in each category. I don't know, maybe 5 in each category. And that's so the public won't listen to everything, but they'll listen just to the top, finalists in each category. So that should be coming out any day now. That's going to be posted and then open to the public. Yeah.
Do you perform with a band like locally, or you'll play in bars, concerts, that kind of thing?
I both. And, there are some other guitarists that I like to accompany me when our schedules can coincide. Everyone's busy. Jim Jones is he's in Albuquerque. He's often my most common guitarist, but there are others. I don't have a band per se, but it's nice to have another guitarist who can just add other instrumental elements beyond what I do, and then also sing harmony. But I perform at, oh gosh, festivals, coffee houses. I'll be at a retirement home here this week.
Oh,
I
great.
do like to play for
Wow.
the seniors, so I work those in too. I perform wineries, bars,
Oh, wow.
restaurants. I do some touring. This summer I had a pretty big tour through Colorado,
Wow.
South Dakota, Minnesota, Wyoming. And then I like to get up to Alaska when I can. I have connections up there and I tour up there as well. So
Nice.
Wow.
I do both local and, get on the road too with a travel trailer and
Wow.
and off we go.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So your stories are going everywhere.
Yeah. And then those places inspire songs. My tours, I tour almost every year. I'm up in the Black Hills area, and there are songs on, this latest album, The Two Wounded Knees, and Annie Mae come out of, being on the Pine Ridge Reservation and at the Wounded Knee site, so places, and then I have songs about Alaska that Alaska inspired. So places are really important to me. I figured that out a while ago, that I like geography, I like traveling, I like places, and those themes work into my songs. My songs always take place somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So did you stop teaching to do music more full time, or?
I did. Yeah, I was doing two careers, and I loved being in academia, and one time I never thought I'd want to leave it, but then I started doing music more professionally. Oh gosh, maybe 10, 12 years ago, and I was flying out west a lot too. We were living in West Virginia, but then had a home in Tucson as well, and I was still had connections to and continue to have connections on the Navajo Nation and the San Carlos Apache Nation. So I was still had work in those places that was bringing me to the West, and the West just became more important to me. The music became more important, and it just, this transition occurred, and I had to give something up. Yeah, I didn't want to do both anymore. And music was really, the songwriting and performing just became my focus.
Wow.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. And there's so many different lines in your stories. And I am reminded in one line, this is in Medicine Bottle, where you talk about returning to the old ways. And it reminds me like of prophecies that ask us to choose. Will we bring forward, some of those traditions of the old ways? And I just wanted to ask you, in your traveling, how do the people talk about that? Is it like just happening in the living of day to day today that all the traditions come forward? Or is there a conscious effort to be returning to some of those old ways?
That's a good question. Yeah, but I you see I guess through the ceremonial lives of tribes are very important, and by keeping on the traditions, like a lot of my research was with puberty rituals. And so I spend a lot of time in ceremonies like the Apache sunrise dance. And, when I look back at the historical practice of that ceremony 150 years ago, there's continuity to the present day here in the 21st century, where young people are living the lives of other young people, but still there's that continuity of tradition that's carried on. So I think the ceremonial life is really important. But I think it's also just in the values that people express and live too, of of connection and sharing and generosity, and that those just it's just part of everyday life, and experience.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool.
It's a delight having you on our show.
I'm just so thrilled to be here too. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I am, since Seekers is the latest release, I'm just happy to get the word out about it too.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's been a goal to do this album for a long time, since my first album came out in 2012. And I knew, and there were 5 of those songs on that album were, written about aspects of Native American history and culture. And I knew that, I wanted to redo those songs because I had grown so much as, a singer and songwriter and musician. And so my goal was I want to re-record these. And so we did that for this new album that we just sort of breathed another life into those songs, and then added some new songs too. So that's, really been a great vision. And the next step, which I hope to do with this album, is actually to write a book. And so I'm writing that. And in fact, I'm working on the chapter on Jefford's Secret right now, where each chapter, there'll be 12 chapters for 12 songs, but what readers will get is the historical background, historical and cultural background
Beautiful.
of the story.
Yeah.
So that's what it's going to be. So then when people have the book, they're going to get the downloads to all the songs too. So that's what that project's in process.
Oh, what a great project. I love that. Oh, it's a unique way to present that history. Yeah. Beautiful. I think it's so important, I recently became aware of a library that's putting a story that a woman from the Wampanoag Nation wrote about first contact. And she's been doing 30 years of cultural presentations for her nation. And the library decided that it was fiction and put it, after all, and I thought, wow. So, she started a petition about it. And I just thought, this is so typical of what, Indigenous history, of not really wanting to hear the truth and put the truth, put it over here in fiction category, because it hasn't been, really taught in public schools and so you as a teacher and professor and being involved in that, what are your thoughts on some of that?
Yeah, I think that's an important point. I mean, that others may not get, that the oral history and the traditions are the history. It may not be under the scientific scrutiny, of the world of academia, but it's very legitimate form of history. Yes, and it's not fiction. It's part of people's lives and what's shaped them as a people. In the classroom, I kind of address that, like, in terms of origin stories. We have the scientific origin story of migration across the Bering Strait, but tribes have their own origin stories of where they came from, of always being here. And I think that that's an important point to make, is that yes, there are different ways of looking at this, but a people's story of their origin is their story. That is their history, and it's legitimate. Yeah, it needs to be told. It's shaped who they are as a people, and it's shaped their lives, their values, their beliefs, and it's integral to who they are.
And will continue. you know.
Continue
Hmm.
as they are. Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. We here I'm sitting between two Abenaki people, and this area is known as Indaki-Na. The Wampanoag people consider them they consider themselves people of the first light, and Indaki-Na means the land of the people of the Dawnland people. You know, so it's like we're in the kind of the same area. So I often play music created by Wampanoag people. So when I found that out, you know, I thought, oh man, you know, here we go.
Yeah, yeah, that would be, you know, I hope in that incident you described, I hope that someone brought awareness to the person who called that fiction and realized, no, this is not fiction. This is not fiction. This is real.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. We'll see where it goes. We're going to follow that.
I love how your creativity overlaps on all your different projects. I mean, you have all these bases covered to get your work out there, your words, your thoughts, your teachings, and it's just great.
Oh, I really appreciate that. I wish there were more hours in the day, you know, and you know, to really to get it out there. Kind of what I'm working on right now is I'd like to get, you know, this music to some of the stations on reservations too. You know, I do have some contacts, but there's so many. I mean, there's literally hundreds. People may not be aware there are hundreds of stations that, you know, across the US and actually Canada and Alaska too, that are native based and on reservations or close to reservations. And, you know, I'm sure looking for music of that fit.
Mm-hmm. Well, we're certainly going to share it with the stations that syndicate our show Moccasin Tracks. We share through the Pacifica Radio Network, which is a lot of community radio stations, but also a few tribal stations that subscribe to it. And so it's kind of fun because the stations that we have are like Hoopa Valley Native Station out in California, and a couple on the Oregon coast, and one up in Maine that is in a native area. So it's really fun to, you know, have those connections. Community radio is kind of our little gem here in New Hampshire. And I've visited and have broadcast at community radio stations in Vermont as well. So there's you know, it's a beautiful way to really bring the native voice to people that might not, you know, listen to this music otherwise.
Yeah.
You know, so we try to do the best we can with our little show.
I love your show and other shows like it that are I don't know if you want to use the phrase grassroots, but they're connected to the community. It's not a big corporation, you know, deciding what songs are going to be played on the radio, but they give other voices and stories out there, songs that wouldn't be heard otherwise. So
Yeah,
as
exactly.
an independent artist, you know, we all very much appreciate that.
And since it's almost the top of the hour, I need to say you're listening to WZNC LP Bethlehem. This is North Country Community Radio at 99.9 FM and online at nococommunityradio.org. Thanks for tuning in. Our guest today is Carol Markstrom, and she's talking to us from Arizona. Her new release is called Seekers, and she's been telling us about her songs, and it's just been wonderful. I'm here with my co-host, Rick and Carolyn Hunt, and my name is Deb Rigger. So thank you for tuning in. And Rick,
Yes.
do you have another question for Carol?
I think I may have asked it earlier, but do you do any visual art? Do you illustrate your songs or books?
I don't have that talent. I no, I don't. I might be able to visualize something in my mind, but I'm not the one. I do work with great photographers and graphic artists. With Seekers, you'll see the cover photo, which is, I'll just hold it up. It's a petroglyph site in sort of
Ah,
north central Arizona. It's one of my favorites. It's along the Little Colorado River at Lyman Lake State Park. And I've been up there, I've camped there many times. I've walked those trails. These are
mm,
ancient sites. Some of the petroglyphs, which are carved in the rocks, are anywhere from almost 2,000 years old to 800 years old. You can see the differences in terms of wear and tear. But when I was thinking about, the cover photo, because Seekers was inspired by that place and places like it, the song
Yeah.
Seekers, the title track.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I contacted a photographer who lives in that area, and she knew all about it, and it was just a good connection to form, because she could really appreciate the stories that I was trying to tell. And we gained permission to do the photo shoot at that site.
Right.
It was just it was just perfect. It was just what I wanted for this album, to have that connection to the place, that's meaningful
Yes.
to me, and helped inspire the song Seekers. And I think really gave the spirit which was needed for this entire album, put it in the context. These songs are native stories, and but also the word seekers, that
Hmm.
we are on journeys, and hopefully we are all seeking to become our better selves, and to understand and connect into what is spiritual.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you teach us a lot in your music, and it's really wonderful to each song, is a story that's a history lesson.
mm.
So thank you for that. We also played from your earlier album a song, was it Devil's Backbone, which is really different. Can you tell us about that song a little bit?
I didn't I that's the one song it's on the Mile After Mile album, which I wrote on this album here is the title track.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's 12 songs, and I wrote 11 of them. So Devil's Backbone is the one I didn't. That's from the the Civil Wars. They're no longer together, but I loved their sound. Oh, I love their songs. And when I heard that, I was performing that song live a lot. It was one of the covers that I did in
Mhm.
shows, and audiences loved it. And they said, "Oh, please record that one." So
Oh, wow.
I listened to them, and I put it on that album. And it's a really it's audiences love it. It's just it's sort of like, here's this woman falling for the bad guy, and
Hmm.
it's like her prayer and plea to God, please, spare this poor man he's not perfect, but he doesn't deserve to be hung either.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's your love story, kind
It's a
of.
love story, right?
Really different.
It was different,
Yeah, yeah,
people seem to like it. Yeah, I sure did. I sure was drawn to the song.
yeah. Well, Carol, it's just been an honor to have you here today with us and giving a little insight into your music. In closing, is there anything else you'd like our listeners to take away from this conversation today?
Well, I just appreciate their listening and hearing the songs, and they can go to my website, carolmarkstrommusic.com, and they can look at some videos and hear some other songs and get more information. And so I appreciate your program. I'm so thankful to be here. I think this is my second visit with you, and this album, Seekers, I think is just, this is where it belongs in a program like yours. So I appreciate you playing the songs and getting the word out. Thank you so
Well,
much.
thank you so much for sending us the music. We really love it. And and like I said, we're learning so much from each song, and we're I think we all love history here. We often turn to history books and read a little bit sometimes. And, so thank you so much for sharing your music.
I really appreciate your feedback too. That means a lot to me. I'm glad you're appreciating the history and the stories, and that means so much to me. Thank you. It really does. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, keep on rocking, because
okay. We'll see what's next. Yeah. I'm always writing, so
yeah, come back and stay in touch. I'd love to hear how the audiences are receiving your work, and after the Native American Music Awards, I'm sure you'll have more stories. So stay in touch with us. Thank you, Carol Markstrom.
Thank you.
It's been a delight.
It has. Thank you. I appreciate it. Have a
Okay,
great
you
day.
be well.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.